Hello, I'm great, thank you. How are you?
Well, as well, great to see you again. So, to introduce you to everyone, Yavin is the founder at Cointelligence. He's been in crypto for a very, very long time, and more recently opened a fund in Gibraltar. So, please introduce yourself, give a bit more of a background, then we can go, into the fund, and then we can take it from there.
Sure, thank you. And thank you for Pete and the other event organizers for inviting me and having me at this event. To briefly introduce myself, I'm the founder and CEO of Cointelligence. At Cointelligence, we mainly focus on research and education for blockchain and cryptocurrencies. And at the beginning of 2021, we launched Cointelligence Fund, which is a crypto VC focused on blockchain-based games and everything around it, including infrastructure and so on. I think that the gaming industry is being disrupted completely at the moment, very similar to the disruption that we've seen in the last few years with the financial markets, thanks to blockchain and cryptocurrencies. And looking forward to our chat. Thank you for having me.
Same. Thank you for being here. And I'd say let's start with the fun part and why perhaps you set up in Gibraltar, and then we can focus more on the gaming aspect. And we can go back on the fact that both of us are a gamer and come from a gaming background. And why do we see a value in blockchain-based games?
Sure. So the reason that we decided to establish in Gibraltar is thanks to the very well thought of and everything around the framework that was established in Gibraltar. We actually found, after extensive research, that it's one of the best places in the world to establish a crypto fund. And beside the fact that the framework itself is very good in our opinion, we found that the other jurisdictions, including a few that are calling themselves very blockchain oriented or pro blockchain and crypto, and we couldn't find the right framework in these jurisdictions. And lastly, we found that there's enough knowledge and experience by the service providers that are based in Gibraltar. So these are the main reasons that we chose that jurisdiction.
And moving on to the video games. So what type of problem does blockchain solve in your opinion when it comes to video games, to games?
So in my opinion, the biggest thing about blockchain-based games is the new play-to-earn concept. And the play-to-earn concept means that it enables player to actually own the in-game characters and the in-game different items. And it's completely different from what we had until today. And it's thanks to the blockchain technology and specifically thanks to everything that's been happening with NFTs specifically. And everyone in the industry are well aware of the NFT craze that we are in, which is very similar, in my opinion, to the ICO craze that we've seen in 2017. And specifically for the gaming industry, I think that it's going to change everything because players will be able to, as I mentioned, own the properties that they are playing with. But more importantly, they are able to actually make a living from playing games. And that's something that I find fascinating. And it's not going to happen in the future. It's already happening right now.
Yeah, and about owning the character, this is from an IP perspective. I'll add something to that. You don't necessarily need to own the intellectual property over the character, which I think is important for video game developers that are thinking of developing a blockchain game, because they develop the IP, they want to leverage it as a franchise. But what you do own, like you said, is the token, and so the player can own the token and get similar value without needing to own the intellectual property over the token. And as we spoke briefly earlier before this call, and something that I, like you, find very, very interesting is the concept of being able to passport, if you want, or at least to have an equivalent of your items and characters, not only within one game or universe, but in multiple one, or in this concept of, metaverse and technological convergence. So is that something that you find, I know that you found it interesting, but can you expand on that and why you think that,
Yeah, sure. So first of all, I think that we're going to see different models. It's not going to be just one model to fit all the different games. And also there's already different companies that are being established in order to be engaged with different games and to offer different services, and also including different marketplaces that will allow the in-game items to be transferable. But to answer what you said, I think that in some cases, the IP of the in-game items is going to be owned by the players. In other cases, it's going to be a combination of the company that owns and operates the game and or the developers and or the community as well, not just the players themselves. And beside all of that, I think that we have to consider that the biggest thing that we are seeing right now happening with everything around the play-to-earn concept is the DAO concept. We already see that there are games that were designed and built based on the DAO concept. We are already seeing companies established established as DAOs, or entities established as DAOs, in order to help promote and to improve the players that are playing the different play-to-earn games. So this is just a beginning, and I don't think that we're even able to understand how big this is going to become in the next few years.
And you know what I find interesting? We always focus on play to earn, but I don't think we speak enough about create to earn, which is also another interesting aspect. If you look at titles like the Sandbox, right, you can use a voxel editing software. With a voxel, just for those that are less familiar with it, is basically a three-dimensional pixel. So it's a pixel with volume, hence voxel. And I find that interesting as well, because then you don't necessarily have to play the title to earn. You can also be more on the creating side. And in terms of DAOs also, what I find interesting is that I find DAOs of players more interesting than DAOs of investors, because the whole spirit of a DAO should be that every member uses the NFT or like the particular account to contribute to the growth of the overall effort and endeavor. Would you agree with that? Do you think what are your thoughts on this?
So first of all, with regards to the create to earn, absolutely, I completely agree with you. It's amazing. What's happening right now is amazing. It's not just create to earn. I've already seen concepts like build to earn, following the create to earn. And that's one of the things that gets me so excited, because I've been preaching about blockchain and cryptocurrencies for more than 4 years. And I've been telling everyone non-stop, it's not just for developers. It's for everyone. It's for marketeers, for content creation people, for obviously developers, for artists, and so on and so on. And now it's exactly that. And everyone can participate and everyone can find a place. Now, specifically with regards to the DAOs, I think that, I wouldn't say that it's much more for the developers than the investors, because I think that we're going to see whole different ecosystems that are going to allow different people to participate. So it's going to be everyone. And again, that's something that I really like, because I've been preaching nonstop for the fact that everything about blockchain and crypto is for everyone and not just for, if you mentioned the investors, not just for the rich people. It should be for everyone, including people that are not able to invest money, for example. And just to give you one example from the blockchain-based games concept, you already have scholarships by investors, and these scholarships are meant for people to be able to participate in the ecosystem without being able to actually invest money or pay for in-game items in order to start what they want to do. So it's just the beginning, and we're already seeing huge changes in the ways that people are looking at how the entire ecosystem and the economics should continue and should be operated.
And, you know, just latching on to that idea that, you know, it's open to everyone, and people can, you know, counteract that argument by saying, well, but, you know, some NFTs are extremely expensive, so they're not accessible to me. And I think this is a big difference with fungible tokens or better currencies, right? Because as an individual, you buy Bitcoin and you're subject to market forces that are beyond your control. What I love about NFTs is that because they rely so heavily on communities, even and especially within a video game, you know, all you need is, I think, 2, 3, 4 champions from that particular community to create content, become influential, you know, to be proactive about it, create value within the community, to suddenly start attracting, you know, investor from outside, and not just investor in terms of, you know, someone coming and putting money into it, but someone that wants to become a part of it. It's like, you know, the cool group of people that you see and you'd like to, you know, to join because you resonate with their value. And I think that's a big, big difference between non-fungible token and fungible type of, between a non-fungible economy and a fungible economy. Is that something that you see as well, or do you think it's a bit more, you know, it's different?
Yes, it's exactly what I see, as you just mentioned. But I have to tell you that with regards to the NFT craze, I don't like the fact that we already see that some NFTs are being sold for huge amounts of money.
That's because you don't hold them.
And that's fine.
That's because you don't hold
them.
Sorry? That's because you don't hold them, because otherwise you'd like that.
No, that's not the reason. But the reason I'm saying it is because I think that we are seeing negative FOMO that makes people want to join in and invest while they don't really either understand what they're doing, or they don't, or they're not doing it for example, some people are saying that they're doing it for the sake of art or for the sake of other things. But in some cases, I just don't believe it, and I think that they just in it for the money. And another thing is that we're already seeing different types of NFTs being used for all kinds of pump and dump schemes. And that's the reason that I'm saying that I don't like everything around it in general, but I really, really like everything around it, specifically for the gaming industry.
Yeah, I agree. And as we discussed, you know, many times, I think what's great about using blockchain for video games is that growing up playing video games, you invest a lot of effort, you know, time, money, you pour a lot into a video game, and then when you stop playing, you can't really transfer that value to someone that maybe wants to use it, and you cannot take it with you. Whereas in this case, you can.
Absolutely. I myself, as a heavy ex-gamer, I spent probably tens of thousands of hours playing games, and when I decided that I don't want to play a specific game anymore, then that's it. Everything that all the time that I spent is gone. I can't do anything with the character. I can't do anything with the other in-game items, and this is going to be completely changed. And not only that, I think that because of this new disruption, I think that players will actually, I mean, not just players, everyone will look at playing games in a completely different way. You know, for me these days, to try a game is a part of my job now, which is amazing. I mean, I would never believe, I never believed that I would see this day that I'm playing a game and I actually could call it work. So yeah, I think that it's definitely that.
Yeah, and I think, it's been a long time coming, because if you look at, for example, the Second Life, a lot of what we look at today in, those kind of blockchain-based game was already developed in the Second Life. But what the Second Life missed in a way was the infrastructure, and it had an imperfect economy. And that's the biggest difference, because like you said, you're not talking about maybe part of it, it's happening. People are earning by playing video games and are able to, liquidate their position to then bring that value into the real world and pay for the bills and other things. Look, we're a bit short on time, so I just wanted to ask you one more thing. As a fund investing in video games, how do you go about it, and what are the challenges that come with it? How do you test the game? Is it only about the functionality? Because a lot of these games are roadmaps, right? They're not even out yet. The game engine is very underdeveloped, and so are the assets. It's all of a promise, right? So I guess that the team plays a fundamental role. And how do you assess them?
Absolutely. So it's a well-known fact for any VC, traditional or crypto, to focus on the team, mostly when there's no product, when there's no even an MVP or even anything that you can actually test. But beside the team, which is very, very important to us, we are looking at the past experience of the team, among other things. And one of the things that we are analyzing is what the CTO and other developers that are related to the project developed in the past. So even if they didn't develop anything for this specific project, we have to see that they have the knowledge, abilities, and the skills. Beside that, and beside the team, we are always looking into the concept and the vision, and we always make sure that even if the concept or the vision is so disruptive and is going to change everything about, in this case, gaming, for example, then we always want to make sure that it's not too of a big dreams, as we already seen with the ICO craze and all the big promises. And I would say that the last thing, and that's specifically focused on crypto, is everything for around the planning of the token economics of the project. If it's the token economics for the fundraising itself, but more importantly, the token economics for the in-game functions and features. So I would say that's the most important. These are the most important parts of what we analyze.
I guess that it must be hard to reconcile what is doable from pipe dreams, because right now the video games that are out there, the interactive value of the video game is very poor. People play them because they can make money by playing video game, I would argue. I don't think that the one I've tried and the most popular one are not entertaining. And on the other end, you have, those pipe dreams. So that's one thing that you want to avoid, because of course you want it to be, as you said, as realistic as possible in terms of the project that you want to develop is doable right now. So that's one aspect that I think must be hard to reconcile. The second one, the NFT industry is made mostly by, not mostly, but it presents a lot of anonymous people. So how do you, some of which maybe don't have experience, and actually some of the best ideas come from people that don't have previous experience because they saw, how the industry was, and want to change it and want to be, innovator in their own capacity. So there is kind of a, it's almost counterintuitive, because you say, well, I like that crypto is accessible to everyone, but then if we only assess the likelihood of a project to succeed based on past experiences of the developers, then we might end up putting ourselves in a loophole, right? And basically have the same exact content that existed so far, but with an economy. Is that a risk that you're trying to avoid? Is that something that you think of, or right now,
So you raised a few very critical topics now. So first of all, let's remember that it's not just about the developers. The developers have a very significant part in it, but we are analyzing other team members, specifically the person that is supposed to be the CEO for the company. By the way, for me, titles for a startup is not that relevant. I'm just using what is accustomed to be used. So if he is actually able to manage a company, because some founders, they got amazing vision They got amazing plans, but they're not able to execute. And execution is one of the key factors to succeed with a startup. So we analyze that as well. We analyze everything with regards to the marketing plans. So specifically for marketing, for example, I would not decide not to invest in a project in case that I think that they have something missing with regards to their marketing, because that's solvable. Because we can help them, because other partners can help them with regards to the marketing. And I'm not going to disqualify a project just because I don't think that they have the best marketing experience and knowledge and abilities. But with regards to the CTO or the developers, I mean, that's a big no. If the CTO doesn't have the right experience following what you said, I'm not going to even be able to consider it. And lastly, I would say that with regards to when you analyze the project and the future success of the project and what you said about the different blockchains, absolutely yes. Of course, we are changing the world. Of course, we are building things that do not exist. But if somebody is going to base a project on a blockchain that doesn't exist right now and probably not going to be existing in the next 5 years, or the capabilities of that blockchain, there's no reason for us to even consider an investment.
On, thanks so much. We are done with the time. Amazing conversation as always. Pleasure to see you, and thanks again for joining us today.
On.
Thank you very much for having me.
I hope you can hear me on. Just thank you, Nick. A round of applause for On Yavin. Thanks very much, everyone.